Okay, welcome everybody, and to talk about variety. We have variety on this program, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about shooting lasers into people. I'm sorry, radiation from Health Talk. Now we're going to talk about ghost stories and paranormal activity and all that. So with our friend Greg Strandberg. Good to have you back, Greg. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me today.
You are the author of a wonderful book that you brought with us, that we're going to be giving away. Called Paranormal Montana.
Yeah, I got 2 copies of that for some lucky callers, and I've got a whole section on ghost stories in the book, and we'll talk about a few of those today.
Cool.
I really want to hear from the audience today. Last time we did a show with Greg about paranormal stuff.
It was awesome.
It was Bigfoot, and I used a segment of that show for our for the competition for Radio Show of the Year, which Talkback won last year. So I really want to hear if you have heard or if you have personally seen any kind of monster or ghost in Montana. Frankly, we'll take some stories from out of Montana if you personally saw it.
And that does not count Donald Trump. I realize he did appear in Billings, but he doesn't count on a paranormal activity show. So
it doesn't matter how old they are. They're not technically vampires, the candidates this year. But yeah, give us a call, 721-1290. And so, Greg, in this whole book of all the stories, which was the hardest for you to disbelieve?
Hardest for me to disbelieve? Well, I would say a lot of them are hard to believe because a lot of times you only have one person seeing them. I'll give you one that I do find a bit believable because a lot of people have seen this ghost, and this is one that's up in the Bear Mouth area that's been seen since the late 60s, early 70s, where supposedly in a ghost town area, a ghost walks out of one of the old abandoned buildings and just walks right into the hillside. And this is one that people have heard of quite a bit, so I think it's a bit more common. And
so more than one person have seen the same ghost?
I guess a few people have seen this in the Bear Mouth area. And one man who has seen that ghost, and another one is a man named Mike Gordon, who was up at the Garnet Ghost Town nearby here back in the 70s. I think they still have it where they have a caretaker stay up there all winter to look for make sure nobody's going into the buildings messing around.
They do that. Yeah, I talked to the caretaker at the Garnet days not too long ago, and he said he stayed up there all winter. So yeah.
Yeah, so we had this guy Mike Gordon staying up there over the 72, 73 winter.
Hope he has Wi-Fi up there.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
And he was walking by through the town checking on things one day, and he was walking by one of the old abandoned saloons, and for some reason he was hearing some honky-tonk music coming out of the abandoned saloon. So he thought that was pretty odd, and he thought, what's going on here? So he has to check it out, but he can't go in the front of the building because it's all boarded up. So he knows there's a way out. If he goes around back, he can get up onto the second story. So he climbs up there, is just going through this old window, and the music just stops. So he doesn't know what to think about that, and I guess that's the only time I've heard that ghost story. And it's at a ghost town, so who knows?
No, that was at Garnet?
That was at the Garnet Ghost Town, yeah.
Wow.
No, is there like a honky-tonk piano in the saloon?
I think there would have been. I don't know if there was at the time.
Because it would have been totally weird if there was no musical instrument in the building.
How would you explain it?
Yeah. So
the way I explain most of these stories, someone had a little too much of something else.
Yeah, passing the time in the cold winter up there at Garnet.
Yeah.
So do you know of any ghost or monster stories in the city of Missoula?
I don't know of any monster stories. I know there are several ghost sightings in Missoula. There's one house up on 5th Street that supposedly has some ghost of a lady that might have killed herself. I know at the University of Montana, Main Hall is supposed to have a ghost. And
What?
I even was walking, when I was a student there 10 years ago, I was walking around the campus one night, and I found a person who worked at the university. I was like, hey, do you think I could maybe go in there and check it out? But they weren't very keen on that idea.
So Main Hall at like it sounds like Hogwarts or something.
Yeah, supposedly it's down at the bottom level. There's some ghost down there. I think it's a woman, and it might be an old Native American. I'm not sure exactly, but I've heard that from at least one person. So
now underneath downtown Missoula, there are all sorts of tunnels.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of passages that lead from one place to another. So what about down there? Any?
I haven't heard any ghost stories down there. Maybe we'll get some callers that can call in on some of them. I often wonder. I wonder if there's anything maybe associated with some of those older bars. The Top Hat used to have the recruiting agency to sign up for the draft during Vietnam. So I don't know if there's any old ghosts that maybe are a little ticked off about that.
Wow. All right. Well, 721-1290 is our number. We'd love to get some phone calls in here this morning. Greg Strandberg joining us, author of Paranormal Montana. Sometime in this hour, we're going to give away 2 copies of his book. But you can't win them if you don't call and contribute something. So that's what this hour is all about. We want to hear your ghost stories. Now, all 4 lines are open, 721-1290. It can be a ghost story. It can be a UFO. It can be Bigfoot.
Now, have you seen anything, Peter?
Nothing.
Never.
Nothing. Ever, not ever, never. I'm so boring. We're going to come right back with more with Greg Strandberg here in just a moment. Hey, we're back on Talkback 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. Our guest in studio is Greg Strandberg, author of Paranormal Montana. We're getting close to Halloween, folks. So it's time to get your ghoul on, if there is such a thing, and give us a call and tell us your ghost stories, because it's, after all, it's Monday. What's better on Monday than a ghost story?
So, Greg, I got to ask, in this book, do you have any of your own personal stories? Have you ever seen a ghost? Or
I have not been lucky or cursed enough, depending on how you would look on it, to experience anything. About all I can say is when I had a friend who grew up in Livingston, he had a house that was by his area, and a lot of the kids always thought it was haunted, that the ghost lived up on the 2nd floor, and you could sometimes see in the attic window, is what they said. We had a house by where I grew up in Helena that we always called the alien house, and the only reason we did that is because it had this terrible green paint and this brightly obnoxious light at night that made it have a green glow, so that was the alien house.
All right.
But besides that, I haven't had any personal experiences.
Okay. Well, let's get to the phones right away, and let's get Joe on the line. Joe, what is your story, and try not to scare us too much.
Well, it's not a real scary one, but you remember that boy that was shot up in Grant Creek? My wife, the next morning, there was a kid sitting in a chair in our backyard, and my wife asked him what he wanted, and he said, "I want to see my dad," and then disappeared. And my wife never knew anything about this.
Are you talking about the karma trial with Deer and Dede?
Yes.
Wow,
That
okay.
boy, my wife said he was sitting in our backyard.
Wow. So if you remember, Deer and Dede was a 16-year-old German exchange student, went to Big Sky High School, played soccer, very popular, and he was killed. The whole trial, bringing it all back. But you're saying your wife saw this?
Yeah, she saw that bird. Like, she got up early to let the dogs out, and she said he was sitting in the backyard in one of our chairs, and because she does see whatever you call it.
Apparitions.
She sees things, and she asked what he wanted, and he said he wants his dad.
now, did she think it was a ghost when she saw it, or did she think it was just a boy?
She thinks it was him coming to let her know something happened to him.
So where is your house? Is it anywhere in that vicinity?
No, it's we live in the south side of town.
Wow.
Now, when she saw the apparition, did Deeren look just like he normally would, or did he look like he had been shot?
No, she said he was a normal kid just sitting there.
Wow. Now, did she know because of the photos that appeared of him in the press?
No, she never knew until like a couple days later, and she seen his picture.
Okay. All
and
right.
she says, "That's the guy that was sitting in our backyard."
Wow. All right.
So that was kind of creepy for her.
Well, that brings it right up to the modern vernacular, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Wow. So has she seen anything else recently?
Oh, she sees things all the time. I mean,
Okay.
she just has that way of things come to her for some reason.
So she is a sensitive then.
Yes, very sensitive.
Wow. All right. Well, thanks for the call, Joe.
Hey, you bet.
Appreciate it, man. Wow. Oof.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And one of the things we have to ask with ghost stories is why? Why are these ghosts appearing and why do they come? And I often think that it's because of a traumatic experience. And if you have something with that Darren Dede getting shot like that, it's very traumatic, where maybe that soul or whatever doesn't know what to do, and they might hang around for a bit, or in this case, wants to see his dad. Confused, possibly. A lot of times people experts on ghosts or whatever say that the ghosts are confused, don't know what to do when they first cross over. So that could be an explanation.
Well, you got to remember too that this young man was 6,000 miles from home,
Yeah.
and his folks were in Germany, and so hey, I don't know. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. Do you have a ghost story? Any sort of a ghost story, an apparition or a UFO, anything. It's coming up on Halloween, folks, and so we want to get these things out. And if you're sitting around thinking, I'm going to tell my story, all 4 lines are open at 721-1290.
I have a ghost story.
All right, go, John.
It might actually be some kind of a demon story.
Oh.
I don't know. But yeah, when I was a younger man, we're talking, I don't know, probably 14. I was spending the night at my friend's house, and we were trying to get like the bad HBO channel in through the fuzz, right? Through the blocky blur of whatever you could see on the screen. We knew we were doing something wrong, right? So we were already kind of oppressed by guilt at the time.
Allowing those negative
by
forces
the way,
to come in.
I don't think we actually ever saw anything. Just the imagination of possibly seeing something was getting to us. Anyway, we go to bed, or try to, and I'm looking up at the ceiling, and I remember clear as day, it looked like a black blanket kind of being shook out over me. If you could imagine someone really violently shaking a blanket so violently that it is parallel with the ground. Okay. And I'm looking at it, and I don't see a face. It just felt ominous. And I see this it just looks like black, like velvet, shaking in the air above me. And I'm watching it, and it wouldn't have done anything. I would have just thought I was like dizzy or something. And I asked my friend Jamie, who was sitting there, I was like, "Do you see that?" He's like, "You mean the blanket?" Wow. And so I remember that was like, wow, it's not, if I'm seeing it, and he's also seeing, I'm not just making it up, and that really freaked me out. At that point, I thought I was really seeing something. Before that point, I was kind of like, my eyes were, jilted just by the TV.
Playing tricks on you.
Which still could totally be possibly too, right? We're staring in the dark at a white scattered, light. But, it wasn't so much just the seeing, but also the feeling. Like I felt like this really gross presence,
an ominous presence.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that's my quote unquote ghost story.
All right. So does that happen? People see them together, Greg?
Possibly, and a lot of times the people see two things like that, two people. And I would like to add that when you're looking into the white fuzz of the TV, you have to remember that there's remnants of the Big Bang in there and all those old radio waves. So who knows what's going on?
All right, let's get Bruce on the line. Bruce, what's your story?
Well, I guess I got a UFO one for you.
Go for it.
Well, this was just about 3 weeks ago, and I worked graveyard, so it was about 9:30 at night. I'm out on my deck having a cigarette. Buddy stopped by, out there smoking and yakking, and he goes, "Holy cow, what's that?" And we kind of look up, and in slightly northern sky, from the west horizon to the east horizon, was a light that was, well, I know when Venus is high in the sky and it's really bright and big, this thing was like 3 times the size of Venus, and it transited from horizon to horizon in about 3 seconds, did not leave a tail or sparks or anything, and you could see it arc with the curve of the Earth. And got to work, turned on Coast to Coast with George Norrie, and he was talking to the UFO hotline guy, and he got a lot of calls from Missoula that night.
Do you think it could have been just a satellite? I mean, it's arcing with the Earth. That makes sense, right?
Satellites aren't that big and bright. This thing was like almost the size of my little fingernail if you held it up to the sky.
And this thing was really moving too, right?
Oh, like I said, 3 seconds horizon to horizon,
now,
following the arc of the Earth.
Does this have anything to do with the big meteor shower that just happened a little while ago?
Perseids,
Yeah, the Perseid shower.
No. Have you ever seen... I've been told it's the International Space Station.
Yeah.
You can see it go over.
Mm-hmm. I have.
This thing was like twice the size of that light and moving, I don't know, a lot faster.
Now, has anybody ever come up with a satisfactory explanation as to what this was?
Nope. But the guy was saying it was not a meteorite or space junk or anything because it didn't leave a debris tail as it fell.
And it didn't fall. It traveled over right over the curvature of the Earth, right?
Yep, and it just kept on going.
Wow, cool. Now, did it only come across once, or did you see it multiple times?
Just once.
All right.
Could you tell if it was emitting its own light, or if it was just reflecting light from the sun or some other object?
Well, I don't know, but like I said, it was probably twice the magnitude of the brightest Venus. So it was like a big bright light in the sky.
Cool. All right, Bruce, thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, party on, guys.
All right. Woo. All
yeah,
right.
and I would just add for Bruce there and for anybody else too, if you see anything, go ahead and go to the National UFO Reporting Center, which is the person that reports on Coast to Coast AM every Thursday or Friday night around 11:15 p.m. And this is where we get a lot of sightings from Montana, and those are all compiled on a website.
All right, 721-1290 is our number. We'd love to hear from you. All 4 lines are open, and we do have 2 books to give away sometime between now and 10, called Paranormal Montana by the author Greg Strandberg, who's standing right here in our studios. And we'll be right back.
If you're out there and you're a small business owner, you need to pay attention because established businesses in the Missoula area are pre-qualified for a small business loan up to $250,000.
Wow.
Through Lendio. Lendio works with over 75 lenders so they can help you get the best terms available for your small business. You might have a landscaping business, or you might have an author writing shop and you need to find more ghost stories. You need to get that money out there so you can get those suckers over at KGVO to get you on the air. I don't know. By the way, it's only like $100,000 to get on the show. Just joking. You can get that loan through Lendio. Lendio is trusted by thousands of businesses just like yours. If you've been in business for at least 6 months and have established revenue, go to Lendio.com to get better loan options for your small business. That's Lendio.com, or call 1-800-589-LEND.
All right, that's spooky enough. Let's get back to the phones. Bobby, thanks for holding. You're on Talkback with Greg Strandberg. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so this is back in the 90s. My daughter was like 8 years old, and we lived in Victor, and we went for it was summertime, really hot. So at 10:30 at night, we go for a walk, and my daughter and me, and I had a big wolf hybrid. Anyway, so we all walk down there, get to the cemetery, and we turn around, we're coming back, and all of a sudden there's a saddle just to the south of the cemetery, and this big blue light comes on. I mean, about 3 feet across, and the hill is about 200 yards from us, maybe not quite that far. I mean, it was big, and we look, and then a little ways away from that, these big red lights in a triangle, 3 lights, came on. Then in another spot, some green lights come on. And then they started coming on and on all over the hill. And my daughter says, "I'm afraid, Mom." And I said, "Don't worry about it. It can't hurt us." And even the dog is looking. We just walked really fast. Like, I don't want to show any fear because I have no idea what this is. Anyway, we get down to Sweathouse Creek to the bridge, and I turn around and look, and there are lights going on and off this hill all over the place. Nothing is on the hill. There's no structures on the hill. It's just south of the cemetery, just this saddle, pine trees, big rocks and logs and stuff. And my husband said, "Well, it's just kids up there." Right. On a Sunday night, these kids are going to wait up there with these gigantic lights to turn them on and off. And they weren't like lights like a spotlight. They were just this glowing light. There you go. I have no idea what that is.
Hey, did anybody else report seeing that, Bobby?
Nope.
So
nope.
You're the only one.
I have no idea what that was. I know on that road stuff happens, spiritual type stuff. I don't know what it is. You can call it whatever you want. Even the dog was looking at it. I don't know what it was.
And this is where? Sorry, where was the spot?
Right south of the cemetery in Victor.
Oh, wow.
It was a long time ago.
Well, hey, thanks for the call.
No, one more quick question. How long ago was it?
Oof. Let's see.
70s, 80s?
This would be like, it was in the 90s.
In the 90s, okay.
Yeah, probably like, around, let me see, 97, 98.
Cool.
Probably around 97.
All right, cool. Well, thanks so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Bobby.
Well, we got that call from about the UFO the guy saw, the brighter than Venus shape or thing moving across the sky. I was looking at the National UFO Reporting Center for Montana, and there's over 700 reports. The most recent one was there's 2 people that saw something on the 11th, one out of Darby, one out of Whitefish, a saucer-shaped object near Trapper Peak. They have a photo for this one.
Wow.
The Whitefish one has an amber orb floating east of Whitefish Lake. But then in Missoula, I thought this was kind of interesting. Missoula, Big Fork, and Whitefish. On the 22nd, the same thing was seen in 3 different places. It started in Missoula at the Higgins Street Bridge, steady, fast, bright light going from horizon to horizon. Then in Big Fork, a comet-like craft moving northeast across the sky. And in Whitefish, solid, bright, white light coming and going and a flash. Alberton, 3 lights with an aurora. No no tail streaking towards the same location. Kind of similar to the one that the guy called. I don't know what day he saw his.
Now, do you remember the one that we published? I had a friend of mine who sent me a video, a dash cam video of a fast-moving light. They were never able to determine the source or where it went, but it was just a few seconds. There it went. So.
Yeah, police dash cam, right? Or,
Yeah, something like that. Some sort of law enforcement, anyway. Let's get back to the phone. Dennis, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Okay, I have a story for you.
Okay.
Oh, God, it's been about 8 years ago. My father-in-law was really sick in the hospital. He was not going to come out. And the night before he died, he was in a coma. He came and sat on the edge of my bed, looked at me and said, "I want to thank you for being the best son-in-law a guy could ask for his daughter."
Wow.
And I woke up that morning and I knew he was no longer with us. Well, about 3 years later, my mom passed away. And she was in a hospital in Idaho, and we got to go say goodbye. And about a week later, I had a dream of her. My brothers and my sisters were there with my dad. And she kept telling me, "Honey, I'm worried about your father." And, "Honey," that's all she could say. But every time I looked at her, she kept getting younger and younger and younger. And finally, the last time I gave her a kiss on the cheek and said, "Have the man upstairs keep an eye out for us, and we'll keep an eye out for Dad." And she disappeared in a white cloud of smoke into the ceiling.
Oh, my Lord. Were you totally freaked out, or was it peaceful?
Nope, I was expecting a visit.
You were?
Yeah.
Wow.
And when my dad passed away, the day he passed away, that night I had a dream that both him and my mom were holding hands and they were both smiling.
Now, physically, where did all this happen?
My mom, when she died, was in Idaho in a hospital.
Okay.
My dad died here.
Okay. Now, but where were you when you saw these apparitions?
I was in my house.
Which is where?
Out here on Mullen Road.
Mullen Road. Okay. All right.
Yeah, quite common for a lot of people to see these kind of things in their dreams, with family members coming to say goodbye. And in regard to the getting younger and younger, I've heard that a lot of people in heaven are always 30 years old.
Yeah, my mom, the last look at her, looked like she did when she was 25.
Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. All right.
So we got a comment from Tim on Facebook.
Okay.
He says, Hell Gate, remember that the canyon is a battlefield that has seen centuries of traumatic deaths from native ambushes. It was littered with skeletons. Many living there have felt paranormal activity. I used to live on Easy Street. It happened in our house. He doesn't go on to explain what happened. I used to also live on Easy Street, Tim, which is interesting. And I grew up there. I do remember having dreams. I always thought of them as just dreams. But I felt like I was awake, but I couldn't get out of bed, and that the bed was floating up and moving.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, we're up against a break. Thank you very much. 721-1290. We have John's on the phone with line 1. We have 3 other lines open. Greg Strandberg is joining us here this morning. Go ahead.
And it's time to give away a book.
Okay, let's do
The
that.
next caller to call in wants a book, 721-1290. We'll give you a copy of Paranormal Montana. We can also give you an opportunity to tell your ghost story as well. But if you don't have a ghost story, we'll still give you a book, 721-1290 to win the free book.
Okay, we're coming right back, so give us a call. Hey, we're back. This is Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. Talking with Greg Strandberg, author of Paranormal Montana. He's standing right here in the studio and waiting to share your stories. And so let's get back. I guess Bobby's back. So let's, Bobby, what's on your mind?
Well, the last caller inspired me.
Okay.
Anyway, my grandparents are having their 50th anniversary, and that morning of the party, I kept saying, "Grandma glows." I mean, she had this, to me, she had this white, sparkly glow coming out of her. And that night, she died on the dance floor dancing. And
Well, what a way to go, huh?
Yeah, she went out dancing with her whole family around her. That's the way to go. That's nice. Anyway, the next day, my mom told me, because nobody listens to me, and my mom heard because all day long I kept saying, "Grandma glows." And my mom said that that's the third time she'd seen that, and every time she'd seen it, the person died. And it's my belief, it's their spirit. They're ready to go, and it's their spirit shining through their skin. That's what I think.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay,
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks for the call. All right. So you want to tell who we gave the books away to? I suppose we could do that.
Yeah, Robin won a book, and so did. Oh, I didn't take the other call. What is the name on the other one here? Well, I can't read your hieroglyphics.
It's Mike.
Okay.
Oh, you can't read my writing.
Hey.
Oh, give me a break. Robin's on the line. Hi, Robin. What's on your mind? Hi.
Oh, well, I just wanted to share my story. Now, it did happen in Washington State when I was young.
That's all right.
And so I had just gone into the 6th grade, and a girlfriend of mine, girlfriend and I started middle school. It's a whole new group of kids, right? And we made some new friends, went to a birthday party, and then out came the Ouija board. This is something we never had seen before. And so the other girls were like, let's play, you know. And we were like, okay, you know, we didn't believe it. And both of us were good girls who'd gone to CCD, right? So anyway, so they asked, the question that the other girls asked is there anybody watching over us? And so we all had like a finger on the I don't know, chip or whatever it is on the Ouija board. And it started to move. And it spelled out this name.
Trump.
It spelled out the name of the teacher that my one girlfriend and I had in the 4th grade who had died when we were in the 5th grade of a heart attack.
Wow.
Nobody else knew his name because they were all from other schools. And so we screamed and jumped up and ran away, and I've never touched a Ouija board since.
That's probably pretty smart.
Yeah, we were thoroughly shaken. It was just
now.
shocking.
How old were you when you did this?
Well, 6th grade.
You were 6th grade. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were about 12.
So early 80s, you know, and it was really quite scary to us.
Wow. Has anything else like that ever happened to you?
No, I see faces in a lot of things, but I had somebody who read my cards one time told me, because I'm very skeptical about these things, and she's like, "Oh, come on, I'll just do it for free." We were talking at one of those shows where you go in town, and that's in Missoula here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And she was a card reader and had some natural healing type things.
Are you talking about tarot cards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, tarot cards.
Okay.
And so she's like, pull out the cards, and I pulled 4 cards, and she gets kind of this shocked look on her face, and she's like, you know, I've never seen anybody pull these 4 cards together, and so I've never told anybody this. I said, well, I see faces in so many things. What does this mean as we're talking? I'm shortening the story, but anyway, she said you just need to stop and put your hand on it and try to hear what they have to say. So. Ooh,
so somebody may be trying to communicate with you.
And if it says "ouch," you've touched an actual face.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those bizarre things.
So have you always felt like you're kind of sensitive in that area?
I have, but it's not something I have delved into purposefully at all.
All right. Well, I sure appreciate the call. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Take care, Robin. All right. So we're up against another break. 721-1290. Whew. Yeah, we haven't heard any Bigfoot stories yet, or any monster stories, really.
No. Or gremlins or demons. It's pretty much been ghosts, UFOs.
Yeah. 721-12. We're open to anything. Greg is standing right. He's got stories he wants to tell, too.
Hopefully we can get the Fairview Earth Angel and the California Street Bridge in still.
Okay, we're going to come right back. 721-1290 is our number. Talk back. Rolling right along. John King over there. I'm Peter Christian. And joining us in studio, we have Greg Strandberg, author of Paranormal Montana. We've already given a couple of books away, and we have other folks waiting on the line. So.
Yeah, but before we get there, I know you have 2 stories you really wanted to talk about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go.
Just to kind of show that not all ghost stories are kind of evil or malevolent or anything, we have one called the Fairview Earth Angel, which comes to us from eastern Montana, where supposedly one day a big rig trucker was driving down the road when he saw a very strange, funny-dressed-looking man standing on the side of the road with a lantern. So he decided he's going to pull over his truck and stop, something he never does for anybody, he says. He goes back to the spot the man was standing, and there's no man there, but down in the ditch, there's an overturned car, a teen in the car dying of cold almost, and nearby his mom who was thrown from the vehicle. So he calls that in and manages to save them. And supposedly, I heard this story on Coast to Coast AM in relation to Montana, and supposedly this would be a guardian angel type of spirit, is what the person talking on the radio show said that night.
And you also mentioned a story about the California Street Bridge.
Yeah, so an earlier caller called in and mentioned the Hellgate Canyon and all the Indian massacres with the Blackfeet and everything. And that ties into our California Street Bridge, an area that's had numerous incidents over the years that people will remember, especially newscasters, of finding bodies in the river and things like that. And so what's going on here? The most recent bridge was built in 1999. Before that, there was a lot of old pilings there. And there was an old bar called the OK Corral that was over there on River Road, I believe. And lots of incidents happened there where people were getting in bar fights. And 2 people died in 85, another one in 86. About a year later, some kids were playing on the ice in the river there, fell through and drowned. So this one author got interested in that and started looking into the history of the area, found out that going back to the 1920s on the bridge, somebody had committed suicide there. He also found this, what I consider an amazing story of 2 planes going over the bridge, crashing into each other. The pilots managed to jump out, get their parachutes. The parachutes tangle together, and they both fall to the bridge and die. I don't know if that's true or not. And then there...
When did that happen?
I was not able to find anything.
Wow.
I'm thinking the 30s or the 40s maybe.
Wow.
But yeah, quite an amazing story.
And they hit the bridge?
And they managed to hit the bridge, yeah. Oh. Right? So what's going on in this area? Well, the author finally managed to trace down that there was supposedly a young Indian maiden with her husband that was captured by an opposing tribe there and started to be tortured and mutilated on the banks right there by the California Street Bridge. And the man yelled out so much that they managed to kill him. And ever since then, supposedly, his spirit has been haunting the area and causing all kinds of bad stuff.
Wow. Wow. Okay, well, let's get back to the phones and get Todd on the air. Good morning, Todd. What's on your mind?
Morning, sir. I just wanted to reiterate that we have Sasquatches right here in the Bitterroot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So
a year ago, my friend Bill and his son were out hiking just behind their home in Florence, up on the hill, just before it turns into wilderness up there, and they seen these footprints, so they decided to follow the footprints, and he noticed as he was walking along following these footprints that the stride was way too long for him to even emulate. So he got his framing hammer out and took a picture of the footprints with the next to the framing hammer, which was quite large.
Give it a reference, right?
Give it a reference, yep. And he said as he looked closer, he noticed that there were toes showing in the snow, which is about a half-inch deep after they started taking photos. Well, he followed these footprints, and there was 2 bipeds, Sasquatch bipeds, two-footed people walking along the edge of the hill, and they came to a rock wall where, folks have thrown the little stones and stuff to get them off the road, get them off their property, piled them up. Said the stone fence was 4 or 5 feet tall, and he said both these, whatever they were, leaped over the stone fence and landed on the other side, distinctly showing the footprints without scrambling up the stone fence. And he says, "There's no way I could have done that." And he says the footprints were from a guy that was maybe 8-9 feet tall, had to have been. They could even emulate it. So anyhow, I think we've got evidence right there that these guys came out of the wilderness, came down, and were at the edge of the Florence border there.
Now, what era did this happen?
Last year.
It was just last year. Wow.
Oh, yeah, last year. Yep.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks for the call, man.
And regular listeners...
I'll get you those photos.
All right, good. Yeah, you've got John's number. Get him the photos right away, okay?
You got it.
Thanks, man. All right.
Regular listeners will, of course, remember last time I was on, we talked about the Teddy Roosevelt sighting, which happened in the Bitterroot in the 1890s. So these are going back more than 100 years in that area.
Okay.
Well, Teddy didn't actually see it.
Okay, you heard it from the trapper. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, let's get Carla on the line. Hi, Carla.
Hi.
What's up?
Well, I wanted to ask a question about the Big Hole Battlefield. There's been very many sightings in there because it's spooky to begin with.
That's up around Wisdom, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think there has been, Carla. I'm not the expert on that. There are several women who write lots of ghost story books, many of them coming out of Helena. Ellen Baumler just put out a 5th book on Montana ghost stories. The Big Hole Battlefield and also the Custer Battlefield are 2 that have a lot of activity.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can feel it a lot. I'm from Texas, and I was a historic preservationist, and I managed a 1902 mansion and I saw it was very haunted, and I kind of prayed it away because when we had a mirror that we had removed from a 100-year-old department store, and you could see things in it that weren't in the room. You could see people walking, and so I kind of don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I'll bet. So what happened to the mirror? What'd you do with it?
We sold it when I moved to Wyoming from Texas. We sold it. I don't know. We warned them about it before we sold it.
Yeah. Well, that would be a drawing point. Absolutely.
Yeah, some people like that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
There are like famous cursed objects. Isn't the Hope Diamond one of those that everyone that possesses it dies?
Yeah.
There's even a house here in Missoula, I think, where supposedly there is a painting that a former owner really liked, and if it's moved, a lot of activity will start up until it's moved back.
Whew. Okay. Well, we're up against our last break, so Kevin and Michael, this is just a 1-minute timeout. We'll get you guys on in 1 minute. We have 2 lines open. Greg Strandberg is joining us. We're really getting ready for Halloween here. 721-1290, give us a call. We're back. This is Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. 1-800-568-5309. And go, John.
Well, before we get to the next call, you had mentioned earlier a ghost on Main Hall of campus here in the University of Montana. We had another caller, Catherine, said there was a ghost in Jeanette Rankin Hall.
I haven't heard of that one, but I wouldn't be surprised since that's I think the second oldest building up there on campus.
So, who knows?
Okay, well, let's get Kevin up first. Kevin, you're on Talkback. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm not really a believer in paranormal things, but I've had twice in my life an in-law, my father-in-law, passed away, and on that very same day that he passed away, this was not a dream, it clear as a bell in my head, he called me by name and said goodbye to me. And
wow.
the same thing happened here a few years ago when my mother passed away. It came, this was not unexpected, but I was not there in the city where she was, and she called me by name and said goodbye. I mean, it was, both of those things were, I considered to be spiritual, if not paranormal. I don't know
how old were you when these happened?
My father-in-law passed away in the 1980s, and my mom in 2012. So I'm in my 60s now.
Interesting.
So
all right.
Yeah, it just and I heard it clear as a bell. That's all I can tell you.
All right. Well, thanks for the call, Kevin.
Yep.
Take care. All right, Michael, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Good morning, Peter and John. How are you guys doing?
Good. What's up?
I was having a problem with my neighbor. He's kind of into all this stuff, and he goes, "Oh, I saw your tracks in the snow. You went up here and went up there or whatever, and I was hunting, and so I thought I'd play a trick on him about 5 years ago, and I made these at a 1/4-inch plywood, Bigfoot story, I guess you would call it, and they're about I'm looking at them now. They're about 28 inches long and made a big old foot. And scooped them to the bottom of my rubber boots, and I had so much fun. You wouldn't believe down here at Derby, there's Bigfoot down here, and it's me every now and then. I just put my boots on and I go walking, and it's kind of fun.
Have you ever walked up to Florence with your boots?
So I don't know about all these tales, but at the same time, I'm having fun with it.
Well, right. I really want to know, have you ever walked up to Florence with your
That sounds like a yes.
That sounds like a big yes.
Anyway, I'm the culprit.
He's not telling. He's not telling. Thanks, Michael. Oh, you're a fiend. All right, let's get Debbie on the line. Hi, Debbie. What's up?
Hi. My story isn't about people, but we had moved up from California to, we've been here about 10 years, but about 5 years ago, we moved our horses up too, and my Arab gelding had been very close down for years down in California with another gelding. And one day up here, this is like about 5 years ago, he left the rest of the herd, went way out into the other side of the pasture and just began neighing and neighing. And I mean, this is a very unusual thing for horses to do. And I took note of it, and I couldn't figure out what was, going on. And then my girlfriend called the next day, and she said that she had to put down Kubla for, the other gelding. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed like too much. It just brought goosebumps up on, my arms and through my body, because it was just too much of a coincidence, because it was right about the same time that he, went out by himself and just, was neighing, and it was like he knew he was grieving or calling to him.
Yeah. So anybody who thinks that animals don't communicate with each other, I don't know.
Well, hey, thanks for your call.
All right.
Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, Debbie. Thank you. We have 2 minutes.
You'll be interested in this call, Greg. Dennis says he remembers the planes crashing.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Hi, Dennis. What's up?
Well, I remember the planes crashing. It was in 1970, November 1st, because me and my brother were out raking our leaves, and we lived over by Intermountain, and we heard them crash and saw the parachutes come out, and it was in 1970, and you can go look on the Missoula Airport history, and it will tell you.
Now, did the parachuters actually entangle and then crash into the bridge?
There was only one survivor.
Whoa. So there's
Out
some
of 2
truth to that
planes.
story. Wow.
No. Did they land on the California Street footbridge?
Well, they were over by the old Intermountain lumber mill.
So that's
Some
right
of
in
them
that
landed
area,
in-
right.
Yeah, some of them landed in Intermountain.
So-
I knew a guy that worked there, and they found a foot in a woodpile.
Ooh.
When you say some of them, these were passenger planes?
No, they were sky jumping planes, skydiver planes,
Okay, yeah.
and they collided head on.
So when the planes crashed, did they crash right in Missoula into residential areas or what?
Yeah, parts of them did.
Wow, amazing. Okay. Well, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, you take care. Wow, we'll have to
Wow,
look
that's
that up.
true. Amazing.
All right, that's very cool. Okay, so where can we find your books if we weren't lucky enough to win one?
They will be on Amazon.com, Paranormal Montana.
All right, super. Greg Strandberg, always a pleasure having you here, man.
Thank you so much.
All right, cool. All right, and we have like 1 minute. You got a real quick story?
We have a ghostly hitchhiker around the eastern Montana area. We're supposedly just north of Great Falls. Sometimes this old Indian that was hit at some point has denim jeans on, long black hair. He has to relive his getting hit over and over again, supposedly. And people driving by will feel a hit on their windshield, get out, nothing's there.
Well, we got real scary stuff to look forward to. Election's November 8th. The next big debate is on Wednesday. If you really want to get your pants scared off, look for that. Tomorrow, we have, I believe, open phones.
Yes, we have open phones tomorrow. Lots to talk about. So I want to say, Greg, thank you for bringing all this in for us. And thank you, all of our callers. You guys have shared some wonderful stories. We appreciate it. We can't wait to see those Bigfoot footprints. I'm definitely going to look up the airport history of that 1970, because I think I was in school here in 1971. So anyway, all right. You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.